Hi, I'm Pythius, and I'm going to show you how I made a few sounds today. The first one is going to be the Reese bass from my track Haymaker from my album Descent, and the other one is going to be the mid bass from my track Auxiliary from my latest EP, and I'm also going to show you how I did the drums and some like other random processing of the bass. So the Reese bass is is this. So that's cool. And then the other bass is this. So yeah, that works. And then we got the drums. That works. So yeah, that's the this one I'm gonna show you. Cool. So hiya. Well, my original plan was to show you how I made my track for my new EP Auxiliary, but my computer's graphic card crapped out, so actually running a screen audio, a screen capture program, and like the full project at the same time. My computer just wasn't having it, so I kind of put parts of it like in a separate project and show you also Reese bass from Haymaker. It's another track I made, so I'll show you how I made the mid bass from Auxiliary, the Reese bass from Haymaker, how I did some drums in Auxiliary as well. Maybe I'll get into the lead sound from Auxiliary, but we'll see that later. Let's see. Well, all right, cool. So, the original sound in Haymaker. Let's just start with that, and then we just continue on with the auxiliary stuff. I made that in FM8, which is a nice synth. I like that, and I don't know, for some reason it works really well for Reese bass. So, all right, let's get this shit started. Show started. Well, what you do, you activate operator A, operator B, and you send that to operator X, which is a saturator. Just, I don't know, put that out all the way. You put the range of this one on 2 and this one on 1. Make sure they're both saw waves. Whew. Key sync on. Alright, cool, and send those to X. X gonna give to you. Cool, so that sounds, saw wavy. Alright, then we're gonna put this third operator on soft square and then increase the ratio only a small bit so it moves slightly faster because operator B was moving at standard pace and A was moving at double the pace. So wait, why is it? Yeah. So there you go. And this one is just like a bit off, and then we send that into the feedback of both of them. So then you get this like greasy, what you normally would get if you use like a normal like additive or subtractive synthesizer, where you would have like the two oscillators and you slightly detune them. You get the rum sound effect as well if you use like a monophonic synth. And now, well, you create it in a different way by using FM. So yeah, so you drive that. That sounds coolish, but it doesn't sound near as cool as like an actual Reese bass. So we gotta fix that. So how do you make that cool? Well, it's by sending these into 2 other operators. Woo! So we send F and E and make them sawtooths as well. Here we go. Key sync on. Don't forget that, or else it will become very messy. Key sync is on everything. And then we send both our initial operators A and B into E and F. And already that sounds way more gnarly than the other one did. And then we just like play around a bit with the values of the till it gets nice and gnarly. So now we're like, so that sounds okay, but we want to have it like a bit more edge. So what we can do is we grab operator D here and we put that to like original 4, which is a lot higher than the rest of them. Well, keysync again, sawtooth, and send that into E and F as well, but not as much as the other two, just like a small bit. And of course, should not forget, get the modulation from C in there as well. And it just adds a bit more like harmonics on top. Now it's just looking for that sweet spot what the values of the feedback gotta be, because like just changing it a small bit can already make like a big difference. Alright, so that sounds nice and breezy. What we want to do is like increase the voices, because well, it's pretty mono now. So when we increase the voices, we get more like the phasing. All right, and now you don't want to have like the double note mess, so you put it on mono. And obviously you want portamento for that cool. Yeah, so you can do that kind of cool stuff with it, and then you can disable the detune so it does stay stable. Because if you can do this as well, but then it will start drifting. Maybe just a bit more. Yeah, that's nice, right? What sometimes works is like inverting one of these. Doesn't always work though, but sometimes you can just like create a new... Oh, apparently not today. Cool. Yeah, then we get into the processing. First I put a isolate trash on there. And I just with the one of the distortion, I think the drives, right? Yeah, the drives and the crunchy crunch, and then just like play around a bit with the drive knob on there. I don't know, it just adds like a bit like more like distorted sound to it, which is nice. Then a fat filter. Like Pro Q boosts some of the characteristics of the sound, like the low end, like the middle end, and the what I did forget to do here, because this is a pretty old respace, which I do more often now, is make like a small dip around the 200. But it doesn't really need it. It is sometimes better to do just to get a bit of the mud out. It's nicer for your total mix sound in the end. And then I use one of my favorite plugins. It's called the Phaser Fan. It's a phaser from D16, and I don't know. I just really like the way it sounds. It's just great. It's a bit gnarly. It can be pretty tight, but just gives like the right amount of phasing, which doesn't sound like too much, if you know what I mean. But it does add like a nice edge to the sound. The next plugin I used is the Fluid by Audio Damage. And as you can see, the mix is set to 0 because I don't use it all the time, but just when the notes of the respace go up, just like this, you know, like, because it adds like I don't know, makes it a bit more tension, adds more tension. You hear it, like, if you play it like this. It's okay, cool, it goes up, you know, well, the sound doesn't really get big, but if you play it with the... Now that sounds big, and that's how you want it, right? When you go up, when the reeds go up, you want it to sound big in the clubs, or when somebody's listening at home or something, just have that feeling of, like, fuck yeah, reeds going up, yeah! I don't know, I just like it. And then at the end I have a glue by Cytomic, which is just like a nice glue compressor. It just, I don't know, adds that slight bit of edge or something, because I have it on P-clip as well. I just like this compressor. So yeah, that was the the Haymaker respace. Let's get into the bass from Auxiliary. So yeah, we start this out by, I don't know, I just like to put this down 1 octave, because I know I like to, when I switch synths, to kind of all of them be at the same part of my MIDI keyboard without having to use the octave down or octave up button too much, because I don't know, just lazy. But it's nice as well for workflow, you know, when all the synths are at the same height where you want to as the other ones, and sometimes sounds just aren't. So yeah, so I put this down 1 bit. I put this to analog BD synth, because I just like this sinus. On oscillator B, I got the sine wave, but I put a bit of symmetry on it, and then like plus, so that's nice. You don't hear it now, but you'll hear it later on in the track. And then I activate the noise oscillator. Let me just deactivate these so you can hear what's going on. Ooh, there it is. Got the AC hum. That's a nice one, but a bit friendly. Just bright white. That's better. Then I put the LFO in there. So you get a bit of moving, but we want to have it sound like real aggressive. So we put the LFO up way high. And then you get a kind of like Kamal did with his like conflict Kamal Rabdala did with their like rides with the compression, so you get that like vibration in the vibration in their cymbals. But I think they did it differently with like a sinus into a compressor or something. I wasn't there, but that's what I've been told. But anyway, this kind of gets the same like crunchy high end effect. So then so that's cool. And then we activate the filter, and I think I chose a high notch for this, and then route the rest of the oscillators into the filter. I like these like multi filters with Serum, because I don't know, they're very practical to use, and Some they sound pretty sick as well, because you don't need like three different filters. You can just do from one, and sometimes, I don't know, just the combined sound of how it I don't know, shapes the sound is actually quite cool. And I put a notch on there. I like how that shapes the sound a bit as well. And then we drive it, because we're still making drum and bass, and loud drum and bass as well. So you just gotta use that drive, because we're not making deep, we're not making like some deep roller or anything. Alright, cool. And then the big, I want to have shit, so I'm really angry in Serum trick is, of course, activate multiband compressor, open up that gain. Boy. There you go. Now it sounds angry. Why is the volume so low for this? Ah, there we go. Yes. Apparently the volume for the channel was a bit low, but cool. Now you can hear it better what's going on. Yes, now it sounds proper angry, but then you can really fuck it up. But this is good enough, I guess. Add some distortion. Oh yeah, maybe disable the random so you always get the same tone. Because if you leave these on, you can hear it go back. I mean, sometimes it's nice, you know, but I don't know, if you're trying to like really shape a sound into a specific form, I like to disable random and then find like a sweet spot with the phase. Apparently that was just right in the middle here, but let's see. Yeah, kind of pretty much. So yeah, then I just like add some distortion, some real simple drive. More drive, because why not? Yeah. So you can maybe use like just like a low pass filter if you want to like modulate the sound later on. So maybe you can put like a nice macro on that. Put it down a bit there. Woo. Oh, I have like band pass. But yeah, just for the moment, let's keep it simple. Yeah, obviously put on mono, legato. You don't want to have the double note issue again. Alright, cool. Then we get into the post-processing. Well, where it was kind of into it, but then inside Serum. Now we for the externals, plugins. Some simple stuff in Q, like a small boost at the low, just for sound sculpting, and then take up a bit of the highs. It was a bit too aggressive. You probably agree with me. And then a small dip at 200 just to make it like get the mod out a bit. Then we get this band in. It's Saturn. I don't know. I just like the way the saturator sounds and the edge it gives. Sure, it makes the highs a bit more aggressive, like kind of doing the opposite of what we did before. But I don't know, just the way it does. This is too much, so like so if you take it down a bit and then send it in here, I don't know, I like it. Then we got the glue compressor again. I know, I just like how that feels, that compressor. And I'm not sure if I was actually using this on the channel. I think I didn't, but it works on any sound anyway. Yeah, let's just keep it in. Yeah, there was more. There was I look at this there because I split it up between like a with a separate sub bass signal instead of using the low end from this bass, because like using a sinus for low end is a bit more, I don't know, makes your low end tighter. So that's why the low cut's there, but let's disable that and then I just boost it some, cut some. Then we have the, well, there's a sidechain compression. Another one with a big cut, because sometimes you just have too much mid-end, mid-range, and a small reverb. But I don't know, that's more like a taste thing. Sometimes if you have a really busy mix, you don't even hear it, might as well not use it. But it does give a bit of like nice stereo to it. Maybe put down the space a bit shorter. But then again, as I said, if you have a busy mix, you're not gonna hit a verb too much. So you don't necessarily need to use it. Alright, let's get back into the sub. Activate this. Go to this one. Transient. Yep, and there. Okay. So it gets. Oh yeah, one thing I did actually on the I kind of forgot to do that, because it was notes like this and auxiliary. What the fuck? Let me just like send these two to a add group channel. It's like mids. That's kind of how the whole it's a pretty stupid story as well. How I made the whole track was because I was using you got the lead in the track which goes like here on top was apparently going through the same bus as the mid bass was, and then I put this plugin called multi-pass on the bass because I wanted to give that like quarter note, like dang 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 dang, or maybe put it in triplets or whatever. I put that on the bass. I'll show you. Just like a gain here. Put that. Yeah, like this. Sync that up to 4. Yeah. Nice. I won't play anymore. So now you got that whole like feeling I have, but the actual lead sound that I had was also going through the same bus, but I didn't know that because it used to be part of the bass in like a really, really old that one, in a really old version of the of the track, which sounded like this. So that's actually the high sound was what's the lead sound now in the actual track. And well, by accidentally putting this on top, I was like, oh, this actually works really well if it goes like ding, 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 ding. That's how you got it, and that's how I got the whole. So yeah, just to get back at the bass sound after like detouring with the multipass plugin, but I know, just try it out. It's actually pretty cool because it's like it's a one plugin. You just put it on the channel you want to, and then it has like bands inside, and you can just split bands and like put like, all right, I just want a phaser just on my just from 230 hertz up or down. That's what I did here as well. Just like put like a gain like sort of tremolo kind of thing, but then with like a downward sound tooth, downward sawtooth, but just on everything above 230 hertz, so the sub kind of stays pretty much the same, stable. I don't know, I just like how that sounds. And of course, one play now. I mean, it still moves a bit, but not as much as you'd expect it to move. So yeah, for the sub bass underneath the synth, I just use the simple analog BD synth. But what I just like it's just like a simple sinus. But what I sometimes do is open up this so you can go into the harmonics of the saw wave. Like you got your ground harmonic here, and then octave up, octave up, octave up, just the light gray ones, and these are steps in between. So sometimes I just want to add like a bit of here, or maybe here, because it adds like a bit of extra pressure to the sub, if you know what I mean. Instead of just having it clean, you get a bit of those more like upper harmonics from the upper sub harmonics, and then I know just it will sound fuller in your low end. Yeah, and it just needs to be. One thing that you do need to do in multipass is drag the gain a bit down, because obviously with the LFO it's on 0 now, on 0 decibels, and it's going down, but it's also going up, so it's going so if you need to take the gain a bit down, so the start point is more. So yeah, I can show you how I did the drums as well. And it's a pretty easy process. So you got the kick, which comes from Kick 2. I really like this plugin for kicks, because you can just get into every detail of the kick, and it's pretty easy. Like I can see here, like the tune is in E, so I put like most of the points of the kick in E as well, so it kind of really glides into the mix quite easy. Because if you use like kick samples, especially if you don't know what the tuning is, you have to figure out the tuning, and sometimes the tuning is a bit off, because it's a hammer. Most of the time we actually use real kick samples, just like a hammer hitting the drum, and unless you're like really good with like the tuning of like kick drums, like the actual tuning of a kick drum, like with the keys, and then putting all the tension on the skin right. I don't know. I bet most of those no one did that for most of the recordings of those kick samples, so you never get like the perfect pitch. But now you can. Now you can just, and then probably. So you can get quite an accurate kick in your mix, which is nice. And I just like the sound of it as well, because you can play around with the tops. Yeah, I just like how it sounds. It's easy to use. Then I use addictive drums for like the main layer of hi-hats, because I know I just like it sounds natural, it sounds like live. I know it just that adds a bit more like spice, and like it doesn't make your track sound as mechanical as you want it to be. It gives a bit more rock and roll edge to your track, which I like. And then the snare is, well, you get a transient here, which I made in kick 2 as well. Just like a short, because I mean basically like the sub part of kick 2, where it's just like it's a sinus here. You can obviously set it to different samples, or oh yeah, can like kick live or whatever. But yeah, I mean I use sinus. Thank you. Ooh. Triangle, whatever. Just keep at it. And yeah, thank you. But what I did here, I put every point on C. So because you have like this, where you disable this, it won't follow the keyboard, but you can enable keyboard following. And obviously C is like the standard for start point for keyboard following. I put it on C, and then whenever I play a G, like the note will be in G, and then when my snare sample is in G as well, it can be really easy have the right transient for the right snare. But sometimes it's nice to have like the snare, instead of using it on the actual key of the track, have it like on a complementary tone. So when you have the kick and the snare on different tones, you don't get the goo 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 ga 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 goo do dee do dee. So you can get like the dynamic between the kick and the snare will be its own like a play of tones, if you know what I mean. I don't really know how to. Sorry, my English sometimes. But anyway, yeah, but you get me. Like you can have the snares like in the key, or you can have them on like complementary notes with the bass key. But I think if it's in tune with the key, if in the same scale, then it can still fit nice into the mix. Yeah, so there's that. There's the snare body. Some layered snare samples I found. And then I put the snare noise on here as well, just to have like a bit more like top end to the snare. It is like, especially when you want the snare to punch through the mix, it's nice just to have. This one is actually really easy to make. It's just like straight from like Massive, I think. Probably, yeah. It's just from Massive. With a slight attack on it, so it doesn't really interfere with the transient. Really easy, but it's effective and it works. Yeah, so then, like a lot of crash samples, some additional hi-hat samples, even amens in there as well. So yeah, that's cool. So that was the drum part of the track. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from all the stuff I showed you and my rambling and so forth. Yeah, well, hope to see you again. Bye-bye.